Right. Hello, everybody. This is round 3 with Jamie Cartwright from Box 12. He's given me a bit of a beating so far, but he's going to let me off, I think, on this round because Jamie, and I'm really proud to say this, Jamie's agreed to be our after dinner speaker for ActiveNet on March the 23rd and 24th at Eastwood Hall. And Jamie's got a story. Some of you will know it, some of you won't. Jamie, give us an overview and a flavour of the types of things you want to talk about at our activity, our event.
Yeah, so well, firstly, thank you, David. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to attending. I think, as I say, some people know my story and will have seen it on a SAS Who Dares Wins, but there'll be people in the room, I'm sure, that don't. My story is a story of heartbreaking childhood trauma through childhood sexual abuse from a football club that I was at when I was 12 to the age of 14. As a result of that, I sort of hid those problems for 25 years. I lived what I now call I was sort of the master of disguise. But unlike a lot of survivors like myself, I didn't suffer with alcoholism. I didn't go down the path of destruction. I certainly was moving down that path, but I managed to cope. I managed to exist, and through that, build a couple of successful businesses. I'm happily married with a young son, and so I managed to deal with sort of a horrific trauma as a child, and also exist for a long period of time. And to the outside world, I was more than existing. I was sort of succeeding, but internally, it was a huge struggle. The mental health struggles from that were severe. Some very, very dark places at times. But I managed to, as I say, cope. I managed to stand up and continue to move forwards. When my back was against the wall at a number of occasions, both with my mental health and also my business struggles, and they entwined along the way. I still managed to force forward and keep moving forwards. And I want to share my story so that if people can relate to that, hopefully they can feel somewhat inspired by it. But I also want to talk about how I then, by being honest with myself and told my truth to the world, was able to then learn how to heal properly and not just exist, but then go and thrive. And that's how I feel today. And I hope that I can only tell my story. And my hope is that it will resonate with people and it will inspire them. Should they feel that they need to reach out, that they can do, because the truth is you don't just have to exist, you can thrive in this world.
Jamie, that was just incredible. And the reason that we talked, and I hope you agreed to do this, was a number of things. Obviously, our theme is making wellness our goal. So that's about physical activity, but it's also about mental activity, mental good health, and those types of things. And we're going to have some really interesting survey results and that type of stuff. But the piece for me was all about sort of this resilience and the strength and the talking, and watching you as on SAS. It summed that up for me. It was very physical, but it was incredibly mentally challenging as well. And then to hear that story that you shared was just absolutely incredible. I've known you for such a long time, and none of that was part of your story at that time. So I'm looking forward to you sharing that strength. Where does your strength come from, Jamie?
And I think that is such a poignant question, because I think that, we know that at our most difficult times, we can often learn more than at some of our better times. And taking the ability when you're in this very difficult position, and I was as a child, I managed to deal with that. I managed to deal with it as a child, and then I developed into an adult, and I carried that with me. And along that pathway, there were many times when my back was against the wall. The emotional strain of what I'd been through was debilitating, but I managed to harness it somehow and not allow it to get the better of me, and then forge forwards and not just exist, but as I say, I managed to succeed throughout my life in different ways. And I say that humbly. And I think that what I'm hoping that I'll be able to discuss on the night and talk about on the night is at those pinch points, those moments when you can go one way or another, when your back is really against the wall and emotionally you feel like you haven't got anything left. How do we continue forwards? And I really want to share my story as to how I was able to do that, and hope that it can help people potentially in the same situation or in the future if they face some difficult times.
Absolutely, Jamie. And my passion is to make sure that nobody has to face what you face. We both run teams, we play sports together. I'm a safeguarding officer. You know, these types of things are always in the front of my mind around how do we make sure nobody has to learn to cope with these things. And I hope, Jamie, we'll have a little bit of that conversation as well as part of our after dinner speaker slot.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, safeguarding is a passion of mine now. It's something that I'm very, I'm determined to ensure that message is hit home. And I do think that sometimes there's an element of this doesn't happen to us, it happens to other people. And that taking your eye off the ball is potentially could be very challenging for all involved. And so, yeah, that's something that I really want to ensure that we stay vigilant. And I'm hoping that sharing some of the realities, the harsh realities, is if we don't stay vigilant and we don't embrace safeguarding properly and put it as our priority, if I share some of the sort of the harsh realities of that, I'm hoping that it will bump it up the priority list where it should be.
Absolutely, Jamie, and it's a really odd thing to say, but I'm really hoping that lived experience really does make a difference for others. So, Jamie, looking forward to seeing you on the 23rd of March at Eastwood Hall. Thank you so much for your time. You take care, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, Jamie. Bye-bye.
Thank you.